a show stating what others hate. Seeking the truth and transparency here on Patriot View
at 1A Independent News.
With your host, Bear Direct.
Hey, what's going on, Patriots? Thank you for joining us for this episode of Patriot View at 1A Independent News. If you're viewing from Facebook, X, or Truth, you're getting the share it on those platforms. So what how we're trying to fund our goals is through our views. So if you're viewing from Facebook, X, or Truth, share on those platforms. Help us get those views up because you're getting the direct link to the episode on Rumble. So it's going directly to Rumble. If you haven't already signed up for a free Rumble account, I encourage you to do so. It's going to give you limited space if you want to try your hand at content creation. There's lots of great content creators on there, all kinds of different things. So give that a try. We have a paid plan because it gives us more storage space. So, but yeah, sign up for that free Rumble account. Then and hit the orange and white 1 in logo or Patriot View on the episode. It'll take you to our channel. Follow, subscribe to the channel. Depending on whether you were on a mobile app or a like a laptop or something, desktop. That it would one would say follow, one would say subscribe. I don't know if they've got them both saying this follow or now at this point or not. So follow, subscribe on Rumble, and share the channel as well. We are up and running on YouTube. We're starting to get viewers. Don't see any followers yet or subscribers. But YouTube is weird though because you have to have so much of this, so much of that, blah 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 blah. They make it to be they make you jump through hoops. But either way, if you're on YouTube, hit whatever's there that is going to tickle the algorithm. Share. We believe in our Constitution, our Bill of Rights. Moreover, 1 through 10 in the United States Constitution is the Bill of Rights. So, this is one of the things that the Democrats will just want to tear down because it's an outdated piece of paper. Or as Joe Biden says when it referred to the Second Amendment, it's not absolute. It is absolute. It's in the Bill of Rights. Hence the name, the Bill of Rights. It was never meant to. That's why a lot of these things say, no law shall be made or something thereof in the verbiage, okay? So things that are not meant to be messed with will have something in the verbiage to imply such. Some way, somehow. And they just don't get it. You know, liberals want to sit there and go, well, they didn't know that weapons of this type would be made. Oh, they knew weapons would advance. And they knew weapons would advance in a manner that could or may not inflict extreme damage. Let me tell you what. Yes, you had to be a little bit closer. But if you look at the conical ball, or in some cases they were actual bullet, cast bullet, or a sabot, I think is what they were called. They did have some conical rounds. And listen, I'm It's first thing in the morning. I'm trying to sit here, and I don't have anything written down. I think in most instances, people are going to understand exactly what I'm trying to say, the differentiation between the ball and a what would look like a bullet, almost like what you shoot out of a modern day muzzle loader, but for the time. Yes, you had to be closer, but I don't think people realize the damage these things would inflict. So, and a good marksman could pop off several shots. So, a lot of these battles didn't last long. Why didn't they last long? Well, once you got so many lines, and they're in a formation by line. Okay. And they're sitting there literally telling their men in the lines to take aim and fire. Well, you can only reload so many times, and then that ball and that wad are not going to want to push. Okay? He's got to be cleaned. It's got to be lubed, however they're lubing them back in that. And I haven't really researched that. That's like one of the really only things, I don't want to say only things, but one of the things that I haven't researched is how did they clean and punch the bores and lube the bores on their rifles. Some people say muskets. They're a rifle. How did they do it? Well, either way, if anybody hunts muzzle with a muzzleloader, they understand that even when you're target practicing, because we will target practice, you're only getting so many shots out of a muzzleloader. Powder starts building up. Powder residue starts building up. The bore's no longer smooth. It starts making it harder to punch your rounds. Your rounds in that bore to seat them. Because they still had a wad, okay? So you have to punch them down there. So I don't think the battles I don't believe really lasted a long time. Because they're only getting so many, each one of them is only getting so many shots. Yes, I get it. It's an old musket, or an old rifle, military rifle, flintlock, sidelock rifle versus a modern day, where you got a plastic sabot wad, blah, 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 blah. I get it. I understand the whole concept and everything. But still, everything starts getting tighter the more powder that builds up on the bore. So they knew, just in the technological advances, what's your point? What's your premise? How do we get into a history lesson? Because they knew that they had seen technological advances in weaponry from the time they were children. Okay? So they knew weapons would advance. So they weren't stupid. They weren't ignorant to the fact of things. And I use the analogy, or maybe not the analogy, but the example when they use, well, they didn't know weapons would advance like that. Blah, 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 blah. They knew that there would need to be, and there would be a need, as there was in their own time, for civilians. And this is one thing that a lot of people overlook, and I've heard others kind of allude to the same thing, but not come right out and say it like I am. They knew that there was a need for the people to have rifles that were equal as far as capability as the military. That's bull. That's bull. How's it bull? How's it bull? Yeah, just 1 second. Excuse me. So, I mean, here, I could just imagine, that's bull. That's bull. I don't understand how you could say it's bull, because if you think about it, the militias that came out, a lot of them were using their own rifles. They were using their own rifles that they have for their home. So these rifles, in many cases, were equivalent, loaded the same, very well may have actually taken the same round. Very well may have had exactly or comparable range, effective range, until they decided, until the military, the army, the Continental Army decided, hey, we got these military grade rifles we're going to give you. Usually they were confiscated, captured cases of rifles or whatnot from the British, in their supply chains, whether or that maybe they were, sent to them by the French. Whatever the case may be. But the rifle's nomenclature, the functionality of the rifle, excuse me, in many cases was equivalent. That doesn't make sense. How's that possible? Okay, how's it possible that you take a bolt action or semi-automatic hunting rifle, okay, straight, the straight stock, no pistol grip, blah, 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 blah. Looks like the old carbine that you'd see in, looks like the carbine you'd see in pictures in World War II, where it had the straight stock, had a little magazine on it. It was semi-automatic. One round for each depression of the trigger. Every time the trigger was pulled, boom, 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 boom. Some people have a fast trigger pull where they pop, 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 pop. That's their trigger, man. That does not make it an automatic weapon. This is where a lot of people are like, that's an automatic weapon, man. No, it's not. It's like the bump stocks. They were trying to say bump stocks made a rifle a fully automatic rifle. No, it don't. It's because your finger's still pulling the trigger. They're just making it do it faster. Do I think people need bump stocks now? Do I think people need full automatic rifle weapons? No, absolutely not. Why? I was in the military. I was in the Marine Corps. I believe in one shot, one kill. Or in whatever case, 2 in the chest, 1 in the head. We were trained to make our shots count. When you have we had 3-round bursts on the A2. I don't even know what they have on the newer ones. I know we who shot, any of us older guys, shot iron sights. We did not have ACOGs and things like that. I think these things are, I think they're great in ways, but I think these rifles, still need to be trained on iron sights at the same range we were. And that way, if their ACOG goes down, gets damaged, they're still in the fight. They just pull it off, revert right back to them iron sights. That's what I believe. That's what I think. I think an ACOG is just a something that's going to be crippling to troops. Just my opinion. It's like having a hunting rifle, and I specifically have one that will only it's only a scope mount, like an ACOG, only a scope mount. So there's no open sights. So if something happens, that scope goes down, and you're still out hunting, you've got nothing to fall back on, which means your day is done. So if you got a troop out, and you got troops out, and they've got damaged ACOGs, and they're just doing a spray and pray. No. In the Marine Corps, we like to be in the fight. We want to be able to see what we're hitting. I just can't imagine. I mean, you got to take these old guys that were around when I was there, and I'm sure there's still some. I'm sure there's still some that haven't retired yet. Maybe some guys I even was served with. And you have to take and put it in the perspective of I don't know. Like I said, you gotta be able to be combat effective. And if you got no sight, how are you combat effective? You're not. Sorry, just my opinion. Why are we all of a sudden gone? Because we're talking about the Second Amendment, for Christ's sake. That's why. The Constitution is very important. The Bill of Rights is very important. But there's nothing contained within the Constitution or the Bill of Rights that gets beat up more than the Second Amendment. Why? Because the liberal left wants to take away people's rights to bear arms. They'll sit there and, I support the Second Amendment. I believe in the Second Amendment. And there are literally some Democrats that actually truly believe that and do. But it's like, the majority of them are on that. Well, people want I want to get voted back into office. So these people are sitting there talking about saying they're all mad about guns, and they think the guns need. So I need to make it look like I actually care, and I want to try to stop the gun violence. And then you got those that actually are full bore. No American citizen needs a gun. We don't need to hunt for our food anymore. We don't need guns. The policeman and the military have guns. You don't need guns. How'd that work in Australia? Crime rate went up. I don't know how I'd have to check. It's been a while. I'd have to check and see what their policy is on firearms, civilian owned firearms now. But disarm the population. That's what the Second Amendment's there to prevent, is the disarmament of the civilian population. It's meant for a reason. They sit there, no King's Day about Donald Trump. Why do they fear Donald Trump so much? It ain't they fear Donald Trump because of what they say because it's not true. Okay, it's not true. It's like looking at every cop and calling him a tyrant. A lot of times it's because people are not happy with what's going on. I'm not happy. I didn't do nothing. You might have actually did something. I didn't do nothing. You're a tyrant. Blah, 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 blah. Are there cops out there? We've discussed this. Are there cops out there that will violate your rights? Are they knowingly doing it, or are they just ignorant because of lack of training or improper training? That is the actual question. Are they intentionally doing it? Or do they truly believe that they're well within their legal rights, their justified rights, their duty to do what they're doing? That's the question. So, if they don't realize because they were poorly trained, that's how they were trained, that's not entirely their fault. Can they correct the issue so it doesn't happen again? Absolutely. How do you do that? Better training. What should these people be doing? They should be going through, and they should be, sometimes, I actually believe sometimes they should be listening to some of these auditors, taking lessons from it. Because one of the biggest things is when that people are freaking out about is people recording in public. People that are recording police stations, post offices, federal buildings, federal facilities, government contractors, facilities, things like that, from public. And then people are freaking out. And law enforcement's freaking out. Even the FBI, Homeland Security, man, they have there was a DHS memo that was put out about public photography, saying it was completely legal. In the post offices, you got Poster 7, it's DHS memo. Rules and regulations governing activity in the post office. Gives you the express right. You can't go in any restricted areas, but in publicly accessible areas, you can photograph and record. You can record your transaction. What's the difference if you walk in there with camera glasses or a camera? Why do they freak out? You could walk around with camera glasses. People ain't going to notice. They're not freaking out. But as soon as they see a camera, they freaking freak the hell out. Why? It's a mental thing. It is. It's a freaking mental thing. You can't record me. You got people. You can't record me. Now we're into the First Amendment. You can't record me. I didn't give you permission. Now, in your state, read and understand your laws, the recording laws, okay? So, you only need one person to know that you're recording. Okay? Only one person needs to know, and that's you. But read the laws and understand what the laws, because like here in New York, depending on what it is, what type of recording it is, how it's being done, can be illegal. But not in public. Not in public. So, like, actual voyeurism could potentially be deemed as hell is that? Oh, the barge. Excuse me. Voyeurism, even if it's in home, say, wife recording a husband, husband recording a wife, unknowingly, secretly, in compromising positions, could be considered illegal. Wiretapping, things like that. I have cameras all around my house, all through my house. We've had break-ins in our neighborhood. Not in quite a while because a lot of people have cameras now. Inside, outside. I don't know how many have them inside. I know I do. I might get triggered. I can actually go in. I can do a 360 degree in my house in where each camera is. So, I got pan, tilt, zoom. They can destroy the cameras. They can take the cameras offline. It's already done. It's too late. It's at that point. It's already done. So my wife knows the cameras are in the house. They're all through the house. Why? We have windows. Like any average home, you have windows. So when you have windows in rooms, you make sure that you have cameras to cover those windows as well. So my wife can't say, later on, you recorded me in a compromising position, blah, 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 blah. You knew there was cameras in the house. They're clearly visible. You know they record. Bottom line. That's why I guess I don't have to worry about my wife cheating on me, at least not in our home. That would be pretty damning evidence for divorce, wouldn't it? But I don't have to worry about that. But yeah, check your state recording laws. In public is there's not going to be any that are going to. You got some places that they're trying to make an unconstitutional law that you can't record police officers in their duty. Unconstitutional. Bull. Nope. They'll be challenged. They'll be one. They'll go up the pole. Listen, it is perfectly legal to record public officials in the course of their duty. Town workers, police officers, firefighters that are paid by the town. Volunteer departments, and agencies, and I don't know. That's kind of like they are the agency. The agency itself they do receive taxpayer dollars, even though they're volunteer organizations. So technically, they still can be. They're in public. It can be recorded. Period. So they can't go. You get a lot of the times you hear it. It's people are saying they're private citizens. You can't record me. You're in public, dude. Bottom line. Well, here you got law enforcement. A lot of times I don't know if they're just ignorant to a lot of them are getting better. I'll tell you what, because they're seeing these videos. They're seeing these videos. They're seeing and they're seeing them. They're getting to be a lot more prevalent. And so you'll hear someone say, "Hey, man, I watch your stuff," to some of the auditors. I watch your stuff, man. It's really good. So they understand. And they start passing this along. You got Sean Reyes from Long Island Audit, out of Long Island in New York here. He'll actually go into law enforcement, set up seminars with law enforcement agencies. Why does he do that? To make sure that the officers are trained, and he uses actual examples of things that have happened to him. Now, Sean Reyes, if you haven't seen Sean Reyes Long Island Audit, go on YouTube, type in Long Island Audit. You can go on Facebook, type in Long Island Audit. But I think you can get the full episodes over on YouTube. He's very quiet, mild mannered. Really, you can't call him disorderly because he's so quiet. He does everything within the guidelines. He researches the laws of if he's going into another state. So he knows what he can and can't do. And his lawyer, his legal team, constitutional lawyers, and they are spot on, man. They do some damage to these to the legal system in those areas. I mean, they fight. But he's another one that's set up, does like we do. But he does merchandise as well. He's more established, so he can do merchandise. But he's getting the funded through the same means that we're trying to, okay, through our views. And now he's doing merch. Right, he's growing his companies, his news promotion, however he wants to promote it, whatever. Media company, we'll say. But he's not like any of the other ones that I've seen. He'll sit there and he'll be very calmly, no, you're wrong. You're wrong. Very mild tone, soft tone. Nothing that is threatening. No tone that could be deemed threatening. All right. And you'll see some of these people that made reports to law enforcement when they call 911 and saying they're very aggressive tone and manner. Now, how can you say that, sit there and flat out lie, knowing the person is recording, right? Knowing the person is recording. And then they catch cops in lies. This is why a lot of cops always wanted to try to stop recording. I was watching one where, I think it was New York City, actually, where a cop, guy was out recording, and he was recording the cops. He was outside there, one of the precincts, and a detective comes up and detains him illegally. Why do you say he was detained illegally? Because he had no probable cause. That one, he's on public property. He's on a public sidewalk. So he had no probable cause to detain him, period. It was just, why are you recording me? And it came back to me. And then he's like, well, at one point he does say, well, why are you outside our facility recording? My answer would have been, because it's my First Amendment right. I legally can. The person recording really didn't say a whole lot. Okay, I probably would have said more like, when he's questioning me, would have been, I know you have you don't talk to cops. You have the right to remain silent. But even the ones that say that, you hear them when they're recording, and they'll say, I'm engaged in a First Amendment protected activity. So they're making it very clear they're engaged in a First Amendment protected activity. So if something does happen and their rights are violated, I have a right to record in public. It's First Amendment right to record in public. I'm on a public sidewalk. This is what the thing is, where this guy's very quiet. These other ones are noting in the audio and video not only their words to the officer, but how the officer's facial expressions, body language, and then what he voices what he verbalizes in response to those things. So this man didn't really say nothing when he should have said, I'm conducted in the First Amendment. I'm engaged in a First Amendment protected activity, recording in public. I can do that. It's lawful. He didn't do none of that. So after he was basically accosted by this guy, all he's saying is, what you're doing is illegal. What you're doing is illegal. You can't do that. Great, but you didn't. He made him set his camera down. And then he made sure the camera was facing whether the cop did it or he did it. But the officer was telling him, plainclothes officer, tried to put the sunglasses down at the end, like to hide his. They already know what he looks like. You got his badge number, you got his name. But tried to make him turn his camera off. And then he sets his camera down and it's turned around. No, that camera should have been pointed at them the whole time. Okay, you can still hear the audio, but you got no visual other than grass and a wall, basically. Yeah, this investigator, this detective, violated this man's First Amendment rights, violated his Fourth Amendment rights. Okay, because he ID'd him. He basically ID'd him under threat of arrest. So he's got at least two violations, constitutional violations right there, that he could actually sue and win on. And then at the end, he picks his camera back up, and this detective still, you got to shut that camera off. I don't give you permission to record me. Well, it's not up to you. You are in public. Not to mention, you are a government employee. And I've heard cops, they're told that you're a government employee. Yes, I can record you. I don't work for the government. Yes, you do. Are you employed by a agency that's getting taxpayer dollars? Are you working at, whether it be a town, a city, a village, a sheriff's department, whatever, state police, it doesn't matter. You're working for the government of that city, government of that town. Everybody hears government and they think the federal government. No, it's first minded. The federal government. No. Yeah, federal government, state government, town government, county government, village government, whatever runs it. Still a form of government. Hence the name. Listen to the name. Government. To govern over. To make run. So this is where a lot of people, especially cops, I love it when people go, I'm a taxpayer, so I pay. You work for me. I don't work for you. I help pay your salary through my tax dollars. No, you don't. What do you mean you don't? How do you get paid? I get paid by the county. I get paid by the town. I get paid by the city. That's right, through taxpayer dollars. That's how you get paid. So you get a lot of these. It's like I said, I'm not sitting there trying to bash cops. I think like Sean Reyes does let me educate you. Let me educate you so you know what's going on, so you don't cost the town, the city, the village, the state a bunch of money. Let me help you get some information so maybe you can go back and retrain. So you don't violate people's rights. So he has exposed corruption too within law enforcement, which some cases they don't like, but needs to be done. So too bad for those that have an issue with government corruption being exposed. So I was going to talk about Mondani and Cuomo and Swala, the debate, but maybe I'll see if I can draw some more off that and maybe do it tomorrow. So, but think about read the Bill of Rights. Okay, go in, type in Bill of Rights. It'll come up. Read the whole Bill of Rights, 1 through 10. 1, 2, and 4 and 5 are the most important. What are they the most important? They're all very important, but those are the ones that you're going to catch being violated the most. Okay, 1, 2, 4, and 5 are the ones you're going to see violated the most by law enforcement. So go through, read the Bill of Rights, but pay close attention to 1, 2, 4, and 5. Okay, because they're very important for you if you ever get tied up with law enforcement. Listen, stop. A lot of these people are watching these videos where they say you can't ID me unless I have broken a law, and they do this, and you see people trying to pull this on traffic stops. If you are driving a car or a motor vehicle and you get stopped, you lawfully have to give them your ID, your driver's license, proof of insurance, and current registration, or whatever they ask for. Generally, it's going to be driver's license, proof of insurance, and your registration. Okay? You have to show them, again, look at your laws when it pertains to, do you have to physically hand them over or just present them? Here they are. I just have to present them. Present does not mean hand or surrender, because you have a constitutional right to be secure in your person's papers and effects. So, in most states, they're going to stay. If you look at them, for IDing for a motor traffic stop is present. You have to present the officer with the information, which means you can see when you see people holding it up to a window. Nope, here it is. Write it down. I only have to present it. I don't have to physically hand it to you. So check on your laws and see if you can actually do that, whether it says present or physically hand them the stuff. What's the difference whether you physically hand it to them or you put it up against a window? What is the point that you're trying to make is the thing. I've been stopped. I just give it to them. Why have a hassle to prove a point? I already know that I can do it. That's not the point. But I'm not trying to escalate a situation either. Hence, you're a bootlicker. No, I'm not a bootlicker. It's called pick your battles. Smart strategy. Pick your battles. A traffic ticket, especially, man, listen, 9 out of 10 times when you get stopped, you actually did it. Sorry. Every time I've been stopped, I know what I did. I don't admit to what I did, but I know why I got stopped. And so don't you. You don't need to make a big deal out of it. You don't need to make an episode out of it. And this is part of the problems. One of the problems I have with seeing, these auditors and record all your interactions with the cops. Should you record all your interactions with the cops? Sure, why not? It's your right. And it's an independent witness. So I'm not saying not to. I'm just saying sometimes with your interaction, pick and choose your battles. Because if you just get in a traffic stop and you just have your license registration, I've always, from day one, had my license registration proof of insurance already ready when they get to the window. Before they get it, they're going to tell me why they stopped me. And I have the stuff sitting there visible. Tell me why you stopped me. I don't want you to start making up stuff later on. Tell me why you stopped me. And they ask you, understand, do you know why I stopped you today? And I'm going to leave it with this one. And I'm going to just roll. I think I'm just going to roll out, go back, watch an old episode, something to get the information. I'm not doing it today. I just don't have the mind for it. But I'm going to leave you with this one thing. If you get stopped, when an officer rolls up, gets up to you, it's going to touch your car, generally the trunk or the taillight. Why? Because they're marking the car. They're marking the freaking car is what they're doing. So that way, if you take off and go, oh, no, that wasn't me, their fingerprints on the car. Then the other thing is, do you know why I stopped you today? They're trying to get you to tell them right on yourself. Makes their case 100%. Okay? Bottom line, makes their case 100% because you just ratted on yourself. Yeah, I was speeding. I'm that person. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, dude, I was speeding. You got me. What municipality I'm in or what the state or whatnot. It's always going to be in the municipality that that you were in. Whether you got to go to town court, you got to go to local court, whatnot. They're the ones you're paying. So I'd be like, yep, I guess the village is getting some money out of me. I guess the town's getting some money out of me. And I'll tell you what, I've been stopped quite a few times over my years of driving. I've gotten 2 tickets. 2 tickets out of my whole time driving and out of all the times I've been pulled over. It's really considered to some people is not a lot. But for me, that's a lot. When I got out of the Marine Corps, I opened up my glove box, and my ex-wife was there. We were married at the time. We were out cleaning out my car because I just came back from Lejeune, and I popped my glove box. Or no, she popped the glove box, and it was an accordion of warnings, traffic warnings. Yeah, that was all within I think less than a 12-month period. It was just packed with warnings. Why? Because of how I acted. That's why. Honestly, because of how I acted. If I really didn't know why I got stopped, I would obviously say no. When the one ticket that I did get, I fell asleep on I-95 heading from Orlando back to Lejeune. I fell asleep driving up the I-95, driving north on I-95, and a trooper. Where was I? Beaufort. I was just outside Beaufort, South Carolina. or right in Beaufort, South Carolina on 995. And I got the trooper got me. So he followed me for, I don't think like a mile and a half, he said. And he walked up. I said, thank you. I pulled to the left side, he pulled to the right, but I pulled to the left. I said, I thanked him for stopping me. And he looked at me and goes, well, never had anybody thank me for stopping them. And I told him, I said, I fell asleep. Thank you for waking me, for stopping me. I fell asleep. It was, I don't know, but I think it was 0230 or something like that, almost 0300. I was tired. And he just couldn't believe that I thanked him for waking me up. I was doing 95 on I-95. So it was always a running joke for the longest time. Yeah, I got stopped at 95 doing 95. And I got a ticket. But it is what it is. He did give me a ticket. But he did tell me, he asked me what time I had to be back on report by, and I told him, he goes, okay, my jurisdiction ends about a half mile up the road. Don't let me catch you speeding. It's only a half mile. At the half mile marker, he flashed his lights and hit the U-turn right there. And I was gone. The next one I got was in Florida the next weekend. I was on 295, cutting across from 95 back to 95, cutting across Jacksonville. And the speed limit dropped. I didn't even see the sign. And I saw a trooper in the median. I saw his lights come on. I knew there was nobody for at least a mile ahead of me. I saw no lights. I saw none behind me. And he whipped out and he got right in the lane behind me. He was in the exact lane behind me. So I just pulled over. And that bastard didn't even give me a break. I'm like, I had my stuff here. Here you go. No, I stopped you. No, honestly, I don't. I'm just heading home for the weekend on Liberty. I don't think he liked Marines. But, and he knew I was in the Marine Corps. He knew I was in the military. I mean, I had freaking Marine Corps stickers on the back of the back window. I had DOD decal on the front window, on the windshield. I was in my uniform, for crying out loud. And he's like, "Whoa, you were doing." I think I was doing 65 and a 55. He said, and I go, no, it's 65. He goes, no, I dropped to 55. I go, it was a half mile back in Black Creek, or Bear Creek, whatever. I can't remember exactly whether it's Black Creek or Bear Creek, whichever. And he goes, I go, where the hell is that? He goes, half mile back. So he gave me a ticket for 10 miles over. I'm like, and I didn't even realize, dude, I didn't see no sign. I literally did not see a sign noting the speed limit drop. Why'd you pull up? Dude, there ain't nobody that way, and you tucked in right in the lane behind me. And you were coming up fast with your lights on. I was already pulled over and stopped before he ever got to me. Well, that was pretty freaking stupid. Why? I knew he was coming after me. I'm not stupid. Yeah, you pull over and they go, why'd you pull over? Well, I just assumed you were coming for whatever reason. You decided you wanted to pull me over. Obviously, if you weren't after me and you were going to something, you wouldn't have tucked in right behind me. Or two, you would have just kept going. I went, why is that fool pulling over? Oh, he must have thought I was after him. But they always sometimes they just want to make something out of nothing, right? So check your laws. Make sure that you're not going to get yourself in trouble. And I just, like I said, it's not that I'm a bootlicker or anything. It's just you got to pick your battles is the thing. So, all right, guys, pop over to the website. Follow, subscribe to our Rumble channel. Follow, subscribe to our YouTube channel if you're on YouTube now. If you're watching on YouTube, hit our website and our email. If you got something you want to say but don't want to put it on your own social media platform because of trolls, go ahead, send it to us. Watch an episode from yesterday. Fast forward all to the end, towards it, and we'll explain everything. Today, I just can't do it. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. But help us get our views up on Rumble so we start generating what we need to pay for everything. When we get to where we need to be on YouTube, that'll start generating. Hopefully we can do everything without having to, and we can take the crowdfunding down and the hosting gift boxes down on the website. But pop over to the website. There's 2 ways you can support us on our website. Bottom of the homepage, crowdfunding box. Top of all the pages on the website, there's a little gift box. That little gift box put up there by our hosting provider. Anything you get to that gift box goes to our hosting provider, credits our hosting account. It doesn't go to us. It goes to and credits our hosting account. So we have items that we recommend. We do not have any sponsors. We have items we recommend. It's in the description. There's that not a sponsor disclaimer. If anything changes with the relationship between one of those items and ourselves, we will remove not a sponsor. We will put the appropriate relationship in. These are items we purchased, we tried, we like, we still use. Okay. Send us what you got. We'll put it on the website and the blog. But it's got to meet certain restrictions or guidelines. Must have a first name or pseudonym, state and location, not a physical address, state and location, so we can see where we're reaching out. Others can see where we're reaching out. But like I said, go back to like yesterday's episode and go to the end, towards the end, like now, and see, and it'll tell you exactly what we're requiring today. I just don't have it in me to do it. So help us out. Help us get those views up. Hit us in the crowdfunding. Hit us in the hosting. But help us get those views up on Facebook, Rumble, and YouTube. Again, I want to thank everybody for joining us for this episode of Patriot View at 1A Independent News. And as always, till next time, stay frosty, my friends.
You just heard Patriot View
at 1A Independent News
with Bear Direct. Join us on Rumble at 1A Independent News for our daily broadcast.